Nancy had a stalker, but who stalks 84-year-old? Who stalks elderly people? Does elderly people get stalked? I'm not saying like anyone can't get stalked, but who would stalk a 84-year-old? Doesn't necessarily make sense. I'm gonna set my tripod up. Stand by. Morning. You still out here? There's going to be a search party tomorrow at the Hobby Lobby parking on Oracle Road at 8 a.m. So they're going to be out there tomorrow morning. Go out there. Hobby Lobby, 8 o'clock. That's what I'm told. Hobby Lobby, 8 o'clock. Tomorrow. Ooh, that's refreshing. What's the temperature? It warms up here pretty quickly, though. Tucson weather. I'll be out there covering the search party. Might even look myself. It's also showing to the Pima County Sheriffs and the FBI that the community still cares. I bet you people show up just in support of Nancy. I bet you people show up. Yeah, we didn't get a stake and raid last night. We were talking about that too, stake and raid. Stake and raid. We didn't get that last night. What else is brewing? Let's see. I posted this. This was the... It looks like more people have arrived, though. I'll show it. We'll go out. Good morning, good morning. Camino Escalante. Sun is up. Hey, Laguna Berry. Went too fast. Murky Piglet, another OG. And all the JLR Army OGs. GTSY, all. This is not our normal JLR adventure. Less media out here. Oh, we got a lot of people that contributed. And I appreciate that. Plant this right here for a second as the sun goes up. Let me get my other phone. Search party tomorrow. 8 a.m. Brenda Jacobs says, Brenda Jacobs, 8163. Tommaso was the last one to see her, and then he disappears and leaves his wife alone in this time of need. That search tomorrow sounds awesome. I wish I could be there to help, but I'm in Florida. Please purchase some gloves and water and take with you for everyone. Brenda Jacobs says. Brenda Jacobs. 147, Carol Ann says search for Nancy start at Hobby Lobby, 8 a.m. Breaking. I'm gonna put a thing. Breaking. Search party. 8 a.m. Sunday morning. Hobby Lobby.
Christina, where can you stream television's biggest shows and brightest stars all for free?
The Yes TV app.
You run the free Yes TV app.
All right, I pinned it. Morning, good morning. In front of Nancy Guthrie's home. Spread the word. Search tomorrow. Escalante. This is Camino Escalante. I kind of like this. It's gonna be 71 degrees and toasty today. I'll cover the search tomorrow. In the meantime, cover your furies here. Community search, Sunday, 8 a.m., Hobby Lobby parking lot. Volunteers planning to help search for Nancy Guthrie. What to bring? Bring clothing, avoid camouflage, hat and sunscreen, plenty of water, sturdy boots, not sandals, gloves, work gloves, fully charged phone and backup battery, screenshots, maps of search areas, snacks, small first aid kit, notebook and pen, flashlight if searching shaded areas, optional but helpful, whistles, 3 short blasts means you're in distress, trash bags, trekking poles for any. I mean, they're posting this on social media now. I think a lot of people are going to come out. Stay in groups. Sign a group lead. Use grid style movement of instruction. Take photos of suspicious items. Do not disturb them. Mark GPS location if something is found. Immediately notify law enforcement for evidence. Do not trespass on private property. Enter abandoned structures. Move potential evidence. Confront anyone. Spread rumors during search. Interfere with law enforcement operations. Safety first. So I think that's going to be a big thing, it appears. Because it's already been out there on social media. I just looked. And they're like already putting flyers and stuff out there. Oracle and Orange Grove at the Hobby Lobby. It's pretty much like, you know, a key area centered around this case. Search party. Some people say 3 weeks too late. All right. Septic tank search. I know, right? The septic tank. I'm seeing if they're blocking off the road on one way. Like, they're supposed to do some traffic stuff here, but I haven't seen it done yet. Outside the home of Nancy Guthrie, folks. Where is she? Tucson, a couple found gloves and blood in a desert 1 mile from Nancy's. Matt Finn, Fox News, responded to that news report and said the feds, that this was part of the numerous gloves that they found. Left in an Uber at 5:32 p.m. to have dinner at her daughter Annie's house in Tucson, Arizona. Saturday, January 31st. At 9:48 p.m., Nancy's son-in-law, Tommaso, dropped her off at home. Tommaso, Annie's husband, reportedly waited 2 minutes for Nancy to get safely inside and then drove away. Sunday, February 1st, a door camera at Nancy's home was mysteriously disconnected at 1:47 a.m. Even more distressing, Nancy's pacemaker app is disconnected from her phone by 2:28 a.m. It's not until 11:56 a.m. that relatives discovered Nancy was missing after getting a call from churchgoers at 11 a.m. saying Nancy never made it for service. At 12:03 p.m., February 1st, police receive a 911 call from Nancy's family. Actually, I have not heard the 911 call. Monday, February 2nd, during a press conference at 8:17 a.m., Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos calls Nancy's disappearance part of a crime. Tuesday, February 3rd, at 6:13 a.m., Sheriff Nanos confirms Nancy was in bed when she was abducted. The first ransom note is sent to TMZ and two local Tucson stations at 1:12 p.m.
The forecast, which we know eventually did come. They say they then called 911. They describe multiple investigators responding very quickly, questioning them, and remaining in that area to about 2 a.m. So now, 9 days later, they wonder whether the gloves that you're seeing right here are connected to the ones that we told you that are being tested. The Sheriff's Department got back to us. They say they cannot confirm at this time whether these specific gloves are part of the evidence. They say detectives and agents have collected multiple gloves from the area, and that analysis is ongoing as part of the investigation. The FBI has not gotten back to us. We've been telling you about gloves found in this investigation. Tonight we spoke exclusively to a Tucson couple speaking out for the first time, saying they found a glove that appeared to have blood on it. So here's a look at the gloves that they shared with us. They say they found them less than a mile from Nancy Guthrie's home last week around 10 p.m. February 11th. And that was the same day investigators later confirmed they had found another glove, the one that we know has now been tested and run through CODIS. The couple who asked not to show their faces tells me they were driving slowly down Campbell with a flashlight as they were helping out in the search when they spotted what looked like a black glove. They say a second glove was found less than 10 feet away. They say they did not touch either. They tell me they first called the FBI tip line. They were on hold for 45 minutes. When they got through, they say the FBI took the location. They took their information. They thanked them for the tip, and then they told them they would note it, but could not guarantee someone would respond that night. So then they called the Sheriff's Department, and they say they were told to leave the gloves in place and that someone would respond. Concerned about rain in the forecast, which we know eventually did come, they say they then called 911. They describe multiple investigators responding very quickly, questioning them, and remaining in that area to about 2 a.m. So now, 9 days later, they wonder whether the gloves that you're seeing right here are connected to the ones that we've told you that are being tested. The Sheriff's Department got back to us. They say they cannot confirm at this time whether these specific gloves are part of the evidence. They say detectives and agents have collected multiple gloves from the area, and that analysis is ongoing as part of the investigation. The FBI has not gotten back to us.
A big break in the case seems to have come at 7:30 p.m. when a subject is detained and their home is searched. It turns out to be a dead end at 11:58 p.m. when the subject, Carlo Palazuelos, is released after law enforcement determines he has no connection to the case. Palazuelos tells reporters outside his home he has no idea who Nancy is and that authorities damaged his door and garage to his house. Wednesday, February 11th, a new note demanding 1 Bitcoin for info on Nancy's case is sent to TMZ just before 6 a.m. The sender claims they've been unsuccessful in reaching Nancy's kids, Cameron and Annie, by email and text. Thursday, February 12th, just after 9 a.m., TMZ receives a second email from the same person as the day before. They complain, "I'm not being taken seriously." Friday the 13th, February 13th. Huge twist at 8:15 p.m. when Tucson SWAT descend on a home 2 miles away from Nancy's home. 3 people are detained and 1 is brought in for questioning. At 11 p.m., a car at Culver's restaurant, Range Rover, is seized and towed for the investigation. Saturday the 14th, the Tucson home raid suspect is brought in for questioning at 9 a.m. and released without charges. Sunday, February 15th, at 7:15 a.m., Tucson police confirm they are using advanced Bluetooth detection technology in an effort to find Nancy's pacemaker. The investigation takes a major forensic turn at 12:15 when the FBI says a glove recovered in the case appears to visually match the gloves worn by the subject captured on the security camera footage released from Nancy's front door camera. DNA found inside the glove is sent for analysis. Savannah uploads a new video at 6:30 p.m. begging her mom's kidnapper to bring her home and urging whoever took her that it's never too late to do the right thing. A report published at 6:49 p.m. says investigators believe Nancy's abduction may have been a botched robbery attempt. TMZ has sent a fourth email from a man claiming to know who kidnapped Nancy and where she is. The letter is received at 9:36 p.m. and it says in part, "I know what I saw 5 days ago, south of the border, and I was told to shut up, so I know who he is. And that was definitely Nancy with them." Monday, February 16th, a landscaper shows up at the Nancy Guthrie's home at 9:15 a.m., grabbing tools from the back of his car and getting to work. An hour later, President Trump calls for Nancy's abductors to receive the death penalty when they're caught, if she's dead. Pima County officials dispute a new report alleging the kidnapping was actually a botched robbery at 11:09 a.m. And the Guthrie family can breathe a sigh of relief at 2 p.m. when they're all cleared of wrongdoing in the case. 7:18 p.m. a Milwaukee, Wisconsin attorney offers a $100,000 reward for the safe return of Nancy, adding to the $100,000 the FBI is already offering. Tuesday, February 17th, sheriffs test the gloves found near Nancy Guthrie's house for DNA, and the sheriff's office announces at 11:47 a.m. no DNA matches were found between the glove and Nancy's house. Later in the day, the FBI confirms the glove is ongoing genetic genealogy testing. Savannah Guthrie's husband, Michael Feldman, lands in Tucson at 1:41 p.m. The husband, with no comment. Wednesday, February 18th, TMZ receives a second ransom letter at 3:54 a.m. asking for a dollar amount similar to the $6 million ransom demand in the previous emails they received. We revealed the ransom letter to the public at 11 a.m. At 6 a.m., the FBI confirms they've reached out to Mexican federal law enforcement authorities to aid in the search for Nancy. Investigators confirm at 4:30 p.m. that the recent SWAT raids have turned up no link to Nancy or her abductors. Thursday, February 19th, the Pima County Sheriff's Office says at 4:20 a.m. that the kidnapper can still be identified from DNA found at Guthrie's house. And later they confirm our story that the Guthrie case will not be featured on Desert Law, a reality TV show about the department. At 12:43 p.m., a Mexican activist group, Madres Buscadores de Sonora, Spanish for Searching Mothers of Sonora, announced they are looking for Guthrie. Friday, February 20th at 1:30 p.m., the Pima County Sheriff's Office announced they received more than 55,000 calls since February 1st, 25,000 more than they received the same time lifespan last year. 55,000 calls, 25,000 more than they received in the same time span last year. That's where we're at. That was TMZ just put this out a couple minutes ago on the timeline of events. What do you think? Continuous coverage of the Nancy Guthrie abduction. Just a little something to say. Thank you, Christy Foster. Thank you, Christy Foster. Very, very grateful. Thank you, Christy Foster. So there will be a search tomorrow. We'll cover that for sure. We're gonna see what happens today out here in front of Nancy Guthrie's home. I'm kind of like just parked across the street. We'll see who pops in and what exactly happens today as the sun starts to rise. That sun rises behind Nancy's house. See, the missing person flyer people were asking me about just says last seen on the evening of January 31st, 2026. It doesn't say she was abducted on the 31st, just last seen. Also, Sheriff Nanos confirms Nancy was in bed when she was abducted. So somebody came in the house. You know, there was a lot of speculation about, oh, Nancy answered the door. Ding dong, or somebody at the door. Nancy gets out of bed, goes up to the front door, and then they snagged from there. But Nanos has said she was abducted from her bed. That's what Nanos said. Nanos said Nancy was abducted from her bed. So sleeping, ambushed.
Neighbors here have been told to send in any surveillance footage that looks suspicious from between January 1st through February 2nd, though it's unclear when authorities or if authorities will be releasing any additional footage. Meanwhile, investigators say they aren't ruling out the possibility multiple people might have been involved in Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. This, as investigators try to identify the person seen on Nancy Guthrie's doorbell camera. He's described by investigators as being between 5'9" and 5'10", and the only article of clothing that law enforcement has positively identified is his Ozark Trail backpack, a product line available at Walmart. Investigators are currently working to identify other items he was wearing and where he might have purchased them. DNA analysis remains underway on the biological evidence found inside Nancy Guthrie's house. Law enforcement also continues to examine surveillance footage from neighbors. The FBI says they've gotten more than 21,000 tips on the Nancy Guthrie case, and the Pima County Sheriff's Department has gotten thousands more.
When somebody calls in a tip or a lead, we have call takers that are trying to ask very specific questions. They're trying to be as detailed as possible. We want to make sure that the tips and the leads that we're receiving here are credible, that they're a viable piece of information, and it's something that our investigators might be able to act on.
Meanwhile, amid this surge in tips, the Pima County Sheriff's Department is asking the public to only submit actionable information, not opinions on the investigation.
Yeah. Not opinions, factual. They've received 55,000 tips in a 1 month span. 55,000 tips, it looks like.
Last seen here on Tuesday night. This is the last known location of my 15-year-old kid. She was last seen here on Tuesday night.
Where is Nancy Guthrie?
You are the savior of that. Now, can
Cartel? Nah. What's this by Parade Magazine? February 21st, 2026. Savannah Guthrie's mom. Sheriff's office inconsistencies raise timeline questions. As officials release updates, sharp-eyed observers say key details don't align, fueling fresh debate about what really happened to Nancy Guthrie. It's coming from Parade Magazine this morning. On Sunday, February 22nd, the search for Nancy Guthrie will enter its fourth week, starting tomorrow, as authorities work to comb through thousands of potential leads. Yet, there has yet to be a tip that led to an arrest. At the time of this writing, no suspect or person of interest has been publicly identified, and the public is just as baffled about what exactly happened to Nancy. On Saturday, February 21st, TMZ posted an updated complete timeline based on what authorities believe to be true. So they're kind of going through the timeline, what we just discussed. Social media has been left baffled by the aforementioned timeline due to some inconsistencies from the Pima County Sheriff's Department. For example, during a press conference, Sheriff Chris Nano said that law enforcement went to the scene on Saturday night, which can be seen in the video marked below at the 4:44 mark. And we shared that. He did say Saturday night. We've been saying that for days. He said Saturday night. Shortly after, Nanos reads the timeline from a monitor in the room and states the dates and times that are part of the department's official timeline, which have been released to the public. However, on an evidence site set up by the Pima County Sheriff's Department, the missing endangered adult report was filed by the department on January 31st, 2026, the day before Nancy went missing, which has caused more confusion. Oh my God, what on earth is going on here? If he did misspeak, how did he confuse night and day as to when they first went to the house? He should at least know if they got there in the daytime or at night. I cannot imagine how the Guthrie family must feel. Praying for them, one person wrote on X. So, Nancy's been missing since Saturday, someone else said. Those questions arise around the same time that chatter about the case going cold. The Pima County Sheriff's Department maintains that they are still actively investigating and that they are constantly going through all of the tips they've been receiving. So that report is pretty much saying that the flyer, the missing report out there, which some people in the chat have been saying, states January 31st, and the sheriff himself at a press conference said January 31st. January 31st takes us a day before. So why is the sheriff saying these things? Is he misspeaking? Or is there something else we don't know here? And that's why people have a lot of questions. I think it's probably he's misspoke. He's not built for the press conference stuff. He's been saying a lot of inconsistencies about who dropped Nancy off. Out here in front of Nancy Guthrie's home, we'll continue the conversation. We'll continue to see what happens here. I am parked in my car today, something different. No arrests have been made. No arrests have been made in connection with this case. It's day 21. Lack of information leads to speculation. Let's see what else is brewing. JLR, check the door frame where the camera was meant to be. There are no screw holes where it was, and previous images show it was screwed on. Where have they gone? Cortex 7577 says. Marshawn says, most of us, more or less me, but most of us in here are screaming from the rooftops, where's Nancy? Us. And she's not even our mom. It's not even our mom. And we're still Like, where's Nancy? Dude, it looks like all that tent stuff looks like a giant space station. Literally. I'm just sitting back reading your comments. Oh, this ex-FBI agent says the ransom notes are a red herring.
FBI supervisor Rob Chadwick, a former FBI supervisory special agent and principal training advisor with the USCCA. Rob, welcome back. Good morning. Always good to see you.
Good morning, Anna.
You heard the latest report. What's your reaction to the police now suggesting that there might have been multiple accomplices?
Well, it's not a surprising, announcement. I mean, certainly we know that she was taken from that home. We know that she was injured when she left that home. And so, it wouldn't surprise me at all if there was someone else involved in this. What's clear and what has been clear to many of us from the beginning was this was never, I don't believe, ever a true kidnapping for ransom case. And it also almost certainly wasn't a, nighttime burglary gone wrong. Like, that just doesn't happen statistically. Not, residential burglaries happen during the day when residents are typically at work. Business burglaries happen at night. So this person who showed up at that house, I believe, was there, to do something. We don't know what. They were inside that house for far too long for it to have been a planned kidnapping. And then, of course, we've had absolutely no sign of life, no proof of life, I should say. And the ransom demands that have been submitted through the media sources, I've always believed are at best a red herring and more likely just outsiders inserting themselves, opportunists, so to speak, trying to collect on this, high-profile story.
Rob, from the very beginning, you've said this case is atypical. It's unusual. Why do you say that from your perspective?
Well, a true kidnapping for ransom case, okay, is something where you're going to almost immediately have a call to either the family or the local authorities to say, listen, we have this person. Here is proof. Here is definitive proof that we have that person, and we are willing to negotiate. We didn't get that until a couple of days later, and that supposed submission was done through a tabloid media outlet, I believe, to get more attention. That's not the mark of someone who is truly interested in collecting a ransom for a true kidnapping. A lot of this just has not made any sense from a kidnapping investigation. And so, I saw that you have a Saturday night special tonight to go over 3 weeks of leads, of interviews, and I think that's exactly what law enforcement is going to do is go back to the beginning, take a look at all the things that we know, not speculation, but the things that we know with maybe a fresh set of eyes to say, okay, what is it that we can track down? I still believe that the clothing items that we see there are, those are tremendous leads. That holster, the combination of that holster with that pistol. That's why we had that story earlier in the week where, agents were going out and questioning people at gun stores to see. That's a very unusual combination and I believe a tremendous lead.
Rob, it's been, and you and I are talking about this, it's been 21 days. Hundreds of officers and agents are working around the clock. 40,000 tips have come in. When does the police and the FBI start to divert resources away from this case?
Well, this case is obviously atypical, and it has captured the attention not only of the United States, but the world. And so law enforcement is desperate to reassure the public. Hey, listen, we're going to get to the bottom of this. We want to make sure that people that are watching this that could see themselves in this situation are reassured. Hey, we're going to solve this case. So the pressure is there. They're not going to divert a ton of resources, but certainly they're going to shift the investigation. I doubt that there are, SWAT teams standing by at the ready like there were just a few weeks ago. There certainly is a local SWAT team there and potentially a regional SWAT team, but we had multiple SWAT teams staged throughout there in case there was a discovery of a stash house, so to speak. I doubt that very seriously is the case anymore. Certainly they are ready to go at a moment's notice locally. But yeah, this is going to be one of those cases, and I know it's frustrating for the general public, but these things do take time. It's a very unusual, atypical case, but they're certainly not going to give up.
Rob, Chadwick, thank you so much for your wealth of knowledge.
All right. Thoughts on that? Jailer investigates. Quiet out here in front of Nancy Guthrie's home. Hold on. I'm getting some messages about the organized search, so I'm just responding to some messages here. Also, people have been sending me like psychic mediums been sending different messages about certain abandoned properties. You think mediums could help?